Jamaica Agricultural Society in 1983, through a motion tabled by Mr. A. Sinclair, a then Vice President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, at an annual general meeting of the JS, called for a month where all Jamaicans, both here and abroad, should recognize the tremendous contribution of our farmers. And since April of 1983, the Jamaica Agricultural Society have engaged all our farmers, and now we have 250,000 farmers, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, and all the stakeholders, meaning, the JS brand societies, RADA, and persons that service the agricultural sector, to celebrate Farmers Month in April. So this Farmers Month is the 35th staging. It was launched by our new Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable Audley Shaw, on the 4th of April at the JS head office, and we launch it under the theme, Grow What We Eat and Eat What We Grow. So the Jamaica Agricultural Society is leading this charge in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, and really we are just saying to the entire population that our farmers have worked hard. The agricultural sector contributes over 6.5% to GDP, contribute 20% to the labor force. So of the 1.3 million persons employed in Jamaica, over 200,000 of those are from the agricultural sector. The Eat What We Grow campaign has just been transformational, game changer, moving our domestic crop production from 491,000 metric tons in 2003 to, at the end of 2016, 668,000 metric tons. As it relates to imports, we have reduced the import bill by over $500 million. When we launched this campaign 14 years ago, the weighted average increase in importation of agricultural food was 100 million. 14 years after, it's now down to 60 million per annum. So over the period, the campaign have saved the Jamaican economy over $500 million. And that's why we are celebrating the work of the farmers, We have become self-sufficient in poultry, in eggs, in Irish potato, in pork, among other crops. And we are now saying it is one of the reasons why we need to celebrate the contribution of farmers. We need to recognize them, yes? We don't want to wait until they die to honor them. And that is what Farmers Month is all about. So we're going to have a series of activities that we will celebrate nationally as well as parish-wide. It's a whole conversation as to how we can help to transform agriculture and to connect its direct correlation to the growth of the economy. Because, listen, the agriculture sector is the lifeblood of the Jamaican economy, And the agriculture sector is the pillar on which sustained economic growth can be achieved. So if agriculture don't grow, the economy will not grow. So that's one bucket. So we are saying during Farmers Month, if you want to earn more, if you want to receive sustained economic growth, we need to engage a process that we support the farmers. The second bucket is how we can engage the entire population to support the farmers. And that is why we say eat what we grow, grow what we eat. And we are saying during Farmers Month, we are saying to the supermarkets, in your areas of the agricultural produce, you should put on a sticker marked grown in Jamaica, produced in Jamaica, to get our consumers to certainly consume more of our agricultural produce, because the quality is good, the price is competitive, and this also goes to the tourism sector as well. How we can ensure that the tourists coming to Jamaica, hence the partnership with the Linkage Hub, consume more of our food. But there needs to be a surge forward as it relates to the next generation. And that's why we engage the schools under the 4-H Club as it relates to school garden project, school garden program. And the 4-H is on board as it relates to Farmers Month, because in this month they are having their achievement days, right? So the engagement of our schools are very, very important in operating the school gardens. The engagement of our housewives and our husbands, right? You know, there's an on-top rural economy, but there's also a place to practice agriculture in the urban areas. Container gardening, backyard gardening. You know, I went to a agricultural show and I brought my neighbor 6 Scotch bonnet peppers, seedlings, and he has established a small backyard pepper farm. So these are what we will be highlighting. So we're saying to the urban dwellers, right, there is a place for you in Farmers Month. Get your container garden open. I also believe that even in the areas where you don't have enough ground space, you can also do rooftop farming. Yes? And once you can get up there and make sure that you don't hurt yourself. You know, areas such as greenhouse. Greenhouse farming is just game changing. You can set up a greenhouse area, hydroponics, where you can just get a container with water and get the prerequisite equipment and get your agriculture going. So the conversation for this month, right? The 35th stage in the Farmers Month, it's about how we can support our farmers, how we can get the agricultural sector continuing to provide growth and development to the Jamaican economy.
The mission around Plant Jamaica is to educate Jamaicans on sustainable agriculture and climate change. And we believe that if we can expose more people to sustainable practices and methods, not just for the economy down the line to have better farmers in the future, but also for people to plant more food in their homes and start to practice things and start to get into agro-processing and other things that will help boost the economy and help improve their lives and the planet at the same time. Our vision is a little bit different to others. We want to really concentrate on urban agriculture because there's more people living in a home than there are farmers out there farming. So I believe that if people can be exposed and if we can certainly inspire them by putting in high quality urban gardens, not just in schools, but also to influence in schools by doing, designing and installing gardens for upper influencers and celebrities in Jamaica, right? Well, then it starts to create a culture that is cool in agriculture. I would encourage more people to plant at home because you're saving the environment, you're increasing the health of your food. You know, eat what you grow what you eat. I think everyone is familiar with that concept. However, a lot of the information out there in education is not necessarily mainstream. Organic agriculture and sustainable practices, people don't think of how much that you can grow a lot of food in a very small space. This example here is a form of container gardening. Instead of just putting in boxes, this design, which is called a keyhole, allows you to add about 25% more space to 30% more space just right on the ground. Then we've gone vertical with it, which is going to add double your space again. So that plants, anything that climbs, melons, squashes, pumpkins, beans, spinach, and so on, can climb vertically, leaving you space in the bottom containers for other crops. And that's just one example. So we are at Ascot High School. We got our first grant just last year. It lasted a year through the IDB program with collaboration with EFJ, the Environmental Foundation of Jamaica, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and others. And these are pilot projects for adaptation to climate change is what it's called. We applied for doing school projects which give teachers, students, parents, hopefully other people on social media, an exact idea as to what it is that you should do in your backyard, in your community to grow a lot of food. What they're growing here at the moment is that they've expanded on their own corn space. We have planted cucumbers here, pak choy, okra, tomatoes, lettuce, and some other varieties. And now we basically come back with some mulch to fill back into the container beds. We're bringing in some perennial vegetables, some medicinal herbs which are edible, and a small amount of okra until they get some more seedlings again. So who's going to do some of the planting? All right? All right, so it's 3 people. Just 3 people, all right? This is how we need to do it, all right? 1, we need to continue to wet, just make sure that the soil is wet, damp, right? This is too tough right now.
Come, each year take a seedling, start plant. Start. So when Andrew approached us about wanting to assist us with climate change, my eyes opened because when I think about the environment, and since I'm so passionate about it, I was all open to it. So I feel good about it, knowing that it is assisting me with when it comes to distributing of tasks during classroom time, since some of my classes are so large. So I feel really great about it. Well, in all, for grade 7, 9, 10, and 11, we have a total, maybe approximately about 250 students. The bulk of them is in grade 7. But like for grade 9, maybe I estimate about a little bit about over 60, and the others will be grade. But the smaller classes will be grade 10 and 11. But so since as we have such a small plot, a large class, having these bins now, it makes it much easier because each class can get a bin. So like when you're talking about distribution of labor now, like each, one student, they get a chance to dig a hole, they get a chance to plant a seed, they get a chance to, so each person, maybe you're not able to plant like 2 plants, but at least they get a chance to do 1. So when here is settled, we can take our time and move on.
I'm enjoying this agriculture project because it helped me to improve my lifestyle, because I have a farm behind my backyard and I grow pepper, okras, etc., and I hope to do more in the future.
I'm interested in agriculture because I like to grow what I eat. The project helped me to learn a lot more about agriculture. And I want to own a business out of agriculture because I like animals and I like to grow what I eat, as I said before.
To talk about urban agriculture, edible landscaping is a word for it. Farmscaping is another word for it. Agroscaping is another word for it. We do it all naturally. We do it all using organic methods. And it's more not necessarily about just one type of crop that you're growing. It's about how much different types of species and crops you can incorporate into your space. Whether it be a very small apartment balcony or back of a townhouse, or it be somebody who maybe lives on an acre or 2, right? So it can be, if you live on an acre or 2, we can incorporate trees and we can incorporate quick crops as well too. One of the things that we try to do is try to educate people on the amount of diversity that is out there in the world. Jamaica already has a lot of the climate, and we have a lot of different crops and species, but there's so much more in the world that which also grows very well here. And the more diversity you have is the stronger your backyard garden is, it's the more beautiful it is, and it's the more that you're able to actually get food all throughout the year, as opposed to relying on a season or 2. And it's also the future. You can go to different programs out here right now which teach people about landscaping if that's a career that they want to get into. But the future, and Jamaica sometimes is a little bit behind on what is taking place in some other countries, but I think that the future is edible landscaping. It's replacing the flora and the fauna plants with stuff which is beneficial for the environment, for the human, and hopefully enough to be able to either sell or share with the rest of the world and community. Plant Jamaican's vision is for the nation and the world to practice sustainable practices which help to alleviate poverty and contribute back to the environment at the same time. Our philosophy is to work with nature and not against it, so that's a whole education thing, so that was left out of what we're getting in schools before and now, so that we as individuals can use these practices for the good for the people, for the good for the land, for the good for the future. It doesn't really matter where we go, we can create nature in all of these spaces. The profits from the enterprise for doing urban landscapes for perhaps the upper influencers and corporate locations, we then take the excess profits and we put it back into the community. So that means that schools, students, persons who are in need are getting the resources that they need to be able to improve their lives, to be able to keep educational programs running, and just to grow the overall organization and our philosophy of trying to get people to have a environmental mindset and realize the potential that we have to be able to change our livelihood. Some of the activities that we've been involved with was community development with Life Yard on Fleet Street. That was crowdfunded, our first project. Every tourist goes down and looks at Paint Jamaica's work and then comes over to Life Yard, which is that where Plant Jamaica got started. We've been involved with school farms. We visited one, as you know, but we've done several last year. We're doing home gardens. We're doing, if somebody has a piece of land and they want to decide and they want to put, help with the watershed, or they want to figure out what it is that they can plant for future investments down the road, or if they want something right now, we can design, we can consult, we can install, we can supply all the materials that you need, from seedlings to the right compost, the right bioorganic sprays, know how to use it. The goal is really to make all of this much easier for people to understand, and yet at the same time also go very deep with broadening their minds and expanding their horizons. So this is April and it's Farmers Month. To celebrate farmers, if you ate today, thank a farmer, they say. So we're farming every single day. The name of the organization is Plant Jamaica. But we will be doing a volunteer project in Portland, in Comfort Castle, at a school there, where you can check our social media pages for more information, see if you'd like to join us. We're going to be teaching people how to build a compost pile, a very nice, neat one, and we're also going to be making an example of a small backyard style garden like you've seen at the schools. At this location, we are putting in a physical example of what it is that we see in all of these videos that people are telling us to do from abroad, but we're not actually seeing many examples of people doing it here. Here's an example of all these different sustainable development practices. And this is like our demo garden, this is our demo site, this is our test site. This is where, when you order seedlings from us, this is where we're going to grow them and supply them to you. This is a market garden, so the company also makes profits from the crops which come off of here. It's all naturally grown, and I don't think there's anything like it, perhaps in the rest of the island, but certainly not in St. Andrew. The way that we've designed the land, for instance, if we get a tropical storm or anything that comes through, our land doesn't get destroyed, our crops don't get washed away. The water runs across the longest route of the property and has a runoff. We rainwater harvest all of our water off of the roof. We have a pond with aquaponics, which gives us fertilizer. We do composting here, 3 different types. We have livestock here. We have chickens, we have pest control, we have beneficial insects and beneficial plants. We have, you name it, we have it. We have more things here than Coronation Market. Many different varieties of hot peppers and sweet peppers, many varieties of lettuce, cabbage family, Asian greens, items from Thailand which grow very well here. We have our local garden, we have our perennial stuff, right? So you have your okra and you have your purslane and you have your yam, yampi, dasheen, banana, plantain, coconut, ice cream bean, mangoes, pears, soursop, many different types of citrus, many different types of lemon, dozens of different types of herbs. The list really goes on and on and on. this might be the future here, but it is a booming, growing trend in the US, in Canada, and it's spreading all over the world, really, right? So, so learning how to farm, eating what you grow, selling products which are better than the products that damage the earth, right? Poison us, is stuff that we just need to expose our mind to. And for all of those people who are thinking, you know, what's the business for Jamaica? Jamaica doesn't have a business environment for some of the ideas that I have. Maybe we need to start, you need to start jumping on our YouTube page and taking a look at some of the videos, because you will get loads of ideas of what you can do to help yourself.